Hey everybody, good morning and welcome to the adibiip group live innovators Q&A with Amir and Victoria, bringing you guys live everyday streamcasts covering intellectual property topics from patents, copyrights, trademarks, trade secrets, anything involving intellectual property. We're going to try to bring you guys thorough and complete answers to help bring clarity around these various topics. If you guys have any questions about intellectual property, please send them to Victoria. You can email her at victoria@adibiip.com. Victoria@adibiip.com. Fire questions to her that you guys might have. If you guys have specific questions, send them to her, and we'll probably even try to get you on the show. So thanks a lot. And then also we have a community number, so please text us at 415-943-5193. Again, 415-943-5193. Would love to have you as part of our texting community. You can get direct access to me, and if you want, you can text me specific questions, and I will get the specific questions answered on the show. So this is a Q&A format show. We always like to start by going over yesterday's question of the day before getting into today's. So this is episode 79. I will let Victoria tell us about what we did on episode 78.
Sure. So on episode 78, we talked about why everyday objects have patent markings.
That was a great episode because I think it's so applicable to just because there's objects and articles all around us, and so being able to have some understanding as to why some of those articles, those goods that we see, everyday items, have patent numbers on them, I think is interesting. So it has, as I explained yesterday, it has to do with the marking statute and about being able to be entitled to damages for against infringers that might possibly try to make similar copying goods and putting them on the market. So again, go back, I'll watch 78, learn about the marking statute. What are we doing today on episode 79?
Today we are doing how does my company file a TEAS standard trademark application on a mobile application after we release it.
So this is sort of the end of a series of episodes that we've been doing on how to protect your mark in relation to mobile applications. So a lot of you guys are mobile app developers out there, either creating apps for the Google Play or the Apple Store, the App Store. And so I thought it'd be really good if we could do a whole series of episodes on these topics, because a lot of you guys, since you guys are putting mobile apps out there, well, you might want to know how you can go about protecting your word mark, for example, the name of your mobile app or the logo or the icon. So we did a whole series of episodes on how you guys can file intent to use trademark applications even before you write a line of code. And then we moved on and showed you guys how to do actual use applications for both the logo and the word mark. So today we're doing a TEAS standard trademark application on the word mark, so the name of the mobile application. So this would be post-release. So we're going to show you guys how to do a Section 1A application from start to finish. So just so you guys have a little bit of background, we came up with this hypothetical specimen that shows a web page. I will bring it up in a moment here. Here we go. So this is a PDF of a screenshot showing a web page where you can actually download our mobile application. It's called the Wheelbound mobile application, and it is a video editing mobile application. So let's see how we can go about trying to post-release, how we can go about actually trademarking the name. So the first step is to go to tsdr.uspto.gov. I can throw that up on the banner for you guys so you guys can see. So you go to tsdr.uspto.gov, and then you want to click on File Online on the left. And I'm going to zoom in a little more. I want to make sure you guys can see what I am doing. Is that good, Victoria? All right, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and click Initial Application Forms, and then I'm going to select TEAS Standard Application, or sorry, Start Your Application in TEAS. Now, one thing I want to point out is I'm already logged into my uspto.gov account, and so it takes me directly to the application page. If you are not yet logged into your uspto.gov account and you're following along on this video, you're not going to get directly to this page. It's going to take you to a page, a login screen where you can actually log into your uspto.gov account. Now, keep in mind, it's really, really easy to create a uspto.gov account. If you don't have one, it'll only take you a few minutes. So if you guys are trying to follow along, just pause the tape and go ahead and create a uspto.gov account. Now, once you get to this point right here, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to select a TEAS standard application. And we're going to do it from the perspective of the company. So this is as if you were doing it for your own company. Now, one thing I want to point out, as I've said in previous episodes, the TEAS Plus is $50 cheaper. However, you're limited in the description of goods and services. So you have to use the canned descriptions of goods and services. Now, the TEAS Plus does give you some latitude. For example, there are opportunities where you can input your own text, but generally, I recommend just pay the extra $50 and don't worry about being limited in any way by the constraints of the TEAS Plus application. So I'm going to do the TEAS standard today and tomorrow. And actually, sorry, not tomorrow, but in a future episode, we'll show you guys how to do the TEAS standard for your logo. But today we're going to do the TEAS standard for just the word mark, for the word. So I'm going to go ahead and click continue. Now this is where we enter the applicant information. So I'm going to go ahead and input my company information. And I'm going to select limited liability company. And I'm going to go ahead and indicate what state it was registered in. So this is a requirement. You have to indicate the state where your company is organized. And then you have to input your address. Now here, I'm going to go ahead and input our address of our company, which happens to be a co-working space. But one thing I want to stress is that everything in this application is eventually going to be public. So keep that in mind when you guys are doing this on your own. You want to make sure that you guys are aware of that, because if some of you guys might be public figures, you actually might be using your residence as your physical business address. Just be careful, because this is all eventually going to become public. So keep that in mind. Now, if you are using your personal address, what you might want to do is you might want to consider unchecking this box and inputting your address here. This will allow you to use a PO box up top. And so if you do that, then you can put your home address here, and the trademark office is going to keep this private. So they're not going to publish this. Now, again, it's not an issue in this particular case, but I wanted to point that out. Remember, everything in the application is going to be public. So just keep that in mind. Now, I'm going to omit my phone number and fax number and website address. Actually, I'm going to throw my website address to show for our company. But one thing I want to point out is that, again, you might consider leaving out the phone numbers just to keep numbers out of the public record. Now, when you click continue, you're going to get a warning. It's going to say, hey, you didn't input your phone number. But again, that's not an issue because they have our email addresses. As you guys saw back here, I input our email address, and this is really the address that they're going to use to correspond with us. And that's what they describe here. So I'm going to go ahead and click continue, and then I'm going to say, okay, it's okay that I didn't input my phone number. And then this is where we actually input the mark. Now, one thing I want to point out is that it's important to get the mark correct. So again, I'm going to write it out in all caps. If you want, you can write it out just how you have it in the specimen. We don't care about the stylization or the capitalization of it. So if you input it just all caps, that'll be fine. It's really up to you. I'm going to go ahead and do it just as it shows up in the actual specimen. So once we click continue, now we are going to select the goods and services. So here, this is really the difference between the TEAS Plus and the TEAS Standard, is when you get to this section here, where you can actually enter freeform text in. This is unusual because the TEAS Plus application, while saving you $50, doesn't let you do this. So we think that's a good advantage, and it's a good reason to pay the extra $50. So I'm going to go under class 9. Now, one thing I want to stress is that there's generally 2 classes that would pertain to a mobile application. Generally, class 9 is what most of you are going to be using because mobile applications are downloaded onto the phone, and so that puts them in class 9. Class 9 covers downloaded software, so software that's downloaded onto your device. Now, the reason why I want to bring this up is because some of you guys might also have SaaS products, so software as a service, and those SaaS products may not be downloaded, so you might access them through a website, through a desktop website, right, where it's not actually downloaded to the mobile app, to your phone as a mobile app. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because your service might actually qualify as both being a SaaS service under class 42 and also being a mobile application under class 9. So in that particular case, you'd want to actually file under both classes. So the software as a service side would be under class 42, and the mobile application app would be under class 9. So just keep that in mind. Now, I'm going to bring this back up. Maybe we'll do a future episode on how you guys can do both classes, just so you guys can see. But just so you know, each class is a separate filing fee. So if you were to do 2 classes under, so one under 42 and one under class 9, that's actually going to be $550, $275 plus $275. So I'm going to go ahead and input what our mobile application is going to be used for. So it's a mobile application, downloadable mobile applications that provide video editing functionality. And I'm going to go ahead and select the filing basis. Now, remember, there's two general filing bases. There's Section 1A and Section 1B. Section 1B is an intent to use trademark application, which means we haven't yet started using our mark in commerce. So we would do a Section 1B application if we hadn't yet released our mobile application to the marketplace. Now, in this particular hypothetical, remember, we've already released it to the marketplace. It's already downloadable. And so we're going to go ahead and select Section 1A. That means that we're already using the mark in commerce. So we're already using the wheel-bound mark to provide our mobile application. So in order to do that, however, you have to do a few things. So you have to, first of all, attach a specimen. Now, specimen is proof that you're actually using the mark in commerce. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this PDF that I prepared. You can submit JPEGs or PDFs to the trademark application on your trademark application. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to submit our PDF here. Give me 1 second. I just need to select it. You guys can't see on this end here, but I'm basically finding it in my file system. Okay, I'm gonna click attach. Now, once you click attach, you know it's been uploaded because it gives you the status update right here. So it says status update has been, so this file has been uploaded. And if you click on here, it'll actually show you how it actually looks on the trademark application side. So this is how the application actually looks. So I'm going to go ahead and click. Now, one thing I want to point out actually before I move on, it's really important that that specimen you submit actually shows how a user can go about downloading the mobile application to their device. And the way that we know that is because there's a download button right here. So we're going to want to say that in the description of the specimen. So we're going to want to say that it shows a button that allows the user to actually download the mobile application to their device. So I'm going to go ahead and click return to form. And I'm going to actually input the description here. So now there's two things that I want to point out about web page specimens. The Trademark Office in February recently imposed a new rule. Anytime that you upload a specimen, a web page screenshot as a specimen, you have to indicate two important things. The first is the URL of the web page, and the second is the date that you accessed the URL. So we're going to want to be sure we include those. So I'm going to say description of specimen. So it's a screenshot of a web page. And I'm going to put the URL here. Now I'm making this up, guys, but obviously this is for educational purposes. You're going to want to actually use the actual URL of your specimen when you guys go about doing this for your applications. And the access date, I'm going to say I accessed it today, showing mark in connection with a downloadable video editing mobile application. Now, we also have to indicate two important dates. The first date is the first date that we use the mark anywhere. So this could be the date that you first created a landing page, the first date that you used the wheel-bound name on your signature for your email, or if you created banners or Facebook ads pre-release, or whatever earliest use that you can think of where you actually held the wheel-bound the wheel-bound name out to the world. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to just use a random day. I'm just going to say, let's say I did it back in March this year. And the first date of use in commerce is going to be the date that I first actually released the mobile application so that it was available to out-of-state residents, and the first date that actually had an out-of-state download. So I would highly encourage you guys to use the date that involved interstate commerce. In other words, a resident from outside of where the company resides actually downloaded the mobile application or purchased it. So in this case, I'm going to select 10/5/2020. Now, when I click assign filing basis, I know that my filing basis has been assigned because, as you guys can see, when I scroll over, I'm going to see it right here, assign filing basis. Now, if you need to go ahead and make changes to it, you can just click on it, and it'll actually open it up, and you'll be able to make edits to it. I'll just show you guys real quick. All you do is click, and then when you scroll down, it actually lets you make changes. So again, I'm happy with it. So I'm going to go ahead and click Assign Filing Basis, and I'm going to continue on with our application. Now, I'm going to click Continue. And this is the part where I input my correspondence information. So I'm going to create a docket number. Now, one thing I want to point out, if you guys have a lot of trademark applications, docket reference numbers are really, really good ways to keep track of your trademark applications, because just remembering serial numbers might be tricky. We have many, many, many trademarks that we manage and handle. And so docket and reference numbers are essential. That's the only way we can stay organized. So really, really important, really useful tool. And again, if you guys have other people on your team, you might consider adding them on the secondary email address list just so that they get courtesy copies. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and add Victoria because I'm going to want her help. I know she's going to help me stay on track and not let any office action or notice from the trademark office slip through the cracks. So really, really key. Go ahead and use this as a tool. If you can enter up to 4 email addresses, just separate them by semicolons if you want to add more. So I'm going to go ahead and click Continue. And I'm going to sign this form directly. Now, this declaration requires you to mark 4 checkboxes. The first one is saying that you understand that you are actually using the mark in commerce. So I'm going to go ahead and select that one. Now, this one actually trips up a lot of people because there's an or, and it talks about intent to use. Now remember that there's an or there. So the top half is going to be applying to us. If we were doing a Section 1B application, then the bottom half would be applying to us. So just keep that in mind. Now, this other information here, again, you should read this thoroughly if you guys are doing this on yourself. On your own for yourself. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot about the trademark process. But I highly encourage you guys to read every single word just so that you understand what it is that you're attesting to. So once we select our filing basis, we're going to go down and read these other checkboxes here. This one is saying that we believe that we have a right to actually use the mark in commerce. In other words, there aren't other similar marks that might cause confusion in the marketplace if ours is also registered. So again, we know of no other similar marks that are used also in the mobile app video editing space. This checkbox is saying that there's factual support for everything that we say in the application. And then the fourth is saying that we understand we're signing on a penalty of perjury. So any willfully false statements could subject us to fine or imprisonment. Now, to sign, all you do is you input your name within slashes. They make it super simple. Just / your name, close /. A lot of people ask us questions about this because they'll forget to add a slash, or they'll omit the last one and then they'll click continue and they'll get an error. But go ahead and put your name within slashes. And then when you click this box here, it's going to actually auto-populate the date for you. So they make it really, really easy. For the name, I'm just going to go ahead and input my name and last name, first name, middle initial format, and then I'm going to go ahead and put my my title at the company. Again, phone number is optional. I'm going to go ahead and omit it this time, and again, it's going to give me an error, or not an error, but a warning. And again, I'm okay with that. Again, they have my email address, so they're going to be able to correspond with me. Now, this is the very final page where you can actually review your entire application prior to submission. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the input, make sure the application looks good. I see that all my information is here. Everything looks fine. And one thing I want to point out is that if you guys see any mistakes in this, it's really, really easy to go back and fix it. All you have to do is click on Go Back to Modify. You can actually step back through every part of the application and make any changes that you want. And the cool thing is that when you go forward, it actually saves all your information. So you're not going to lose anything. It's going to save it. So again, it's pretty cool. Highly encourage you guys to go ahead and go back. Feel free to go back and modify. It's a session, so it's going to store all the information. Now, one thing I want to say is that if you're not 100% sure about submitting today, that's okay, because you can save the form and it'll download what's called a .obj file. That .obj file you can then take and use to upload tomorrow, and it'll repopulate the entire session of your application. So it's a really, really nice way for you to, if you want to delay filing for a day, to take some time, review, make sure that you're actually happy with your description of the specimen, of the mark, whatever it may be. You can refine it and then come back, upload it, and then go ahead and make the changes and submit. Now, again, one thing before I submit real quick, I just want to point out, you need to also check this box here. This checkbox indicates 3 things. So the first is that you're not entitled to a refund. So that means make sure that you actually want to file a trademark application on this mark. If you decide tomorrow that, hey, you know what, we don't actually want to file a trademark application on this word mark, too late. No refunds, you're out of luck. Or if you decide, hey, you know what, actually, we really want to change the name to Circlebound or some other name, tough luck. You can't change the word mark after you submit. So keep that in mind. The second is just reminding you that you have no right to confidentiality. In other words, everything in this application is going to be public. The one exception is that domicile address box that I showed you at the very, very beginning of this episode. So just keep that in mind. And the third checkbox is reminding you that because everything in the application is confidential, unfortunately, there are a bunch of scam companies out there that will mine the trademark office database for new applications and then send scam notices to individuals, basically trying to scam them out of money they don't actually need to pay. Now, there's tons of examples. If you follow the link that's provided by the trademark office, you can see these various letters. They look very official. They look really real. But again, it's just a scam. If you get one of these letters, which unfortunately, if you're filing this yourself, you probably are going to get one of these letters. You can come to this site. You can also just Google, I think we have a banner up for it. If you just Google USPTO misleading notices, it'll come right up. It'll be the first hit. And you can go to this page, and more than likely, you're actually going to be able to find the company that sent you the notice. Now, the trademark office does a really, really good job of keeping this up to date. And two things I want to point out. One is the trademark office is in Alexandria, Virginia. And you see a lot of these places are in Phoenix, Idaho Falls, Idaho, Washington, D.C., Miami, Florida. The trademark office is not in any of these places. The second really important thing is at no point in the trademark process are you going to have to pay a government fee to some third party. All the fees that you pay related to your trademark are going to be paid to the trademark office through uspto.gov, through the TEAS system. So just keep that in mind. So that's a big tell. Having some company saying you have to pay some money in order for it to publish, it's all a scam. So again, if you guys are unsure, you can always call the trademark office or go to the site and see if you can find the sender of the letter. So, all right, so application looks good. We're going to go ahead and click submit. Again, you can review everything at the top. You can click input to review the application. You can click mark to see the actual mark that you're going to submit. I'll just show you guys real quick. It's loading at the moment. Here's the mark right here, wheelbound. And then again, if you click specimen, it's going to take you to the page where you can follow the link and see the actual specimen as it's going to be submitted to the trademark office. So looks good to me. We're going to go ahead and click submit, and it's going to then take us to the payment page. So when I click pay submit, I am prompted to input my credit card information or Visa. And after I submit the payment, what's going to happen is I'm going to get an email with the actual filing receipt that has the filing date and the serial number. So this is it. I'm going to click credit card, fill out my credit card information here, and then click submit payment. After I submit the payment, as I said, I'd get the email, but I'm also going to be taken to another page where I can actually download the filing receipt. The filing receipt has a serial number, and it also has my filing date and a copy of all the information that I submitted in the application. Now, the reason why I stress the serial number is because the serial number can be used to keep track of your application at any time during the filing process and also post-grant. So if you go to tsdr.uspto.gov, I'm going to show you guys just real quick and input the serial number right in here and click status. You'll actually be able to see the status of your application. So really, really useful at any time. You can always check the status of your application, if it's been assigned an examiner, if there's a pending office action, whatever it may be. And that serial number is actually going to be tied to your trademark even post-grant. So keep note of that. Keep it handy. Okay, so this was episode 78. I'm sorry, 79. Looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow for episode 80. Hopefully, we're going to mix it up tomorrow, do something a little interesting. Stay tuned. I think you guys are going to really, really enjoy it and learn some interesting stuff tomorrow. So we're not doing the logo tomorrow. We're going to mix it up. So stay tuned. Stay tuned to see what we do tomorrow. If you guys have questions, send them to Victoria. She's at victoria@adibiip.com. Send her any question you guys have about IP. We'll try to get it answered on the show. And as always, please consider joining our community number. It's 415-943-5193. 415-943-5193. Would love to have you as part of our texting community. You guys get direct access to me. You can shoot questions, send them my way, and I will try to get them answered on the show. All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. This is episode 79. Looking forward to seeing you guys for tomorrow, episode 80.